Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Hello, how are you? Would you like a nice cup of tea? Of course you would, yes. Well, I'll put the kettle on later. Okay, we're going to have a little chat now about necromancy. Why not? Alright, now in the magic of tradition, sorry, let's rephrase that. In traditional grimoires, which could have as much fiction in them as God alone knows what else, because they're just created by people, there was talk about all kinds of things, such as like you do a spell in a certain way in a certain time, and you do your conjuration rites, and all of a sudden the dead will rise. And this is rubbish. Complete rubbish. Okay, it's not going to happen. So therefore, what actually is necromancy? Of course, you know, we've all heard the stories of the Haitian priests who would like poison someone and turn them into a brain-dead slave, which can do things for whoever's in charge, which is obviously like really thuggish and really unpleasant. And that's more like the creation of zombies, and I wouldn't really want to be involved with that because it sounds a bit difficult and stupid and silly. And just plain silly. You know, don't do it. But what do we actually mean about like necromancy in a, shall we say, modern context? It's much more to do with mediumship, and much more to do with attempted spiritual connections and communication. Methodologies include meditation, opening up, the preparatory exercise I've already mentioned, okay? Having a good understanding as to who this person is you're trying to communicate, having built up an image of them in your mind prior to doing your weird exercise, researching them thoroughly. Having a few objects and artifacts of that person around about, maybe a photograph, maybe a personal object like a ring or something that they've owned. Something which will then connect you intellectually and emotionally and psychologically and subconsciously to the concept of the person. Once you are opened up and you are in either in a circle or you're in a place which feels sufficiently emotionally safe, then you can actually do your opening up and opening up properly. It's often good to do this by candlelight because the low lighting levels, especially with yellow lights, not blue lights, will help to increase the hormones of sleep and rest and meditation and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons why candlelight is used. If you've just got a very dim yellow light bulb somewhere, you might as well use that. The idea is to have low light levels with a yellowish light as opposed to a blue light or a white light. In doing that, you are bringing yourself much closer to the sort of like meditative dream time. A lot of the spirit communication or experiences you will have should be based upon what happens in meditation to the most part, and you will, sense things or feel things and just get a little flash, maybe, of a person or a thing being there. Communication with it is delivering energy which carries meaning to it, and then it will respond through various different means, either allowing like a message to trickle down into your head, or maybe a bolt of static electricity to your head, or maybe just a change in your creative thinking which enables you to then receive the message somehow. Other methods, which of course you already know about, is the dark mirror, which is good, but that relies upon the persistence of vision hallucination effect. So you're staring at that spot of light on the screen, because on the black mirror, one candle either side, light is reflected onto your left and right hand side of your face. You're looking at the reflection and you're staring at it whilst chanting in a very weird way, and hey presto, you will start to hallucinate something in that dark mirror. Whether it's related to just things happening in your mind or things happening in the outer world will remain up to speculation and further discussion. Other tools would include the crystal ball, ideally black, just like the dark mirror. You can use other things such as idiomotor devices, such as pendulum and Ouija board as well. But essentially you get much quicker, more accurate, more reliable communication if it's just going straight to the mind. Alright, if you're just dealing directly with communication with that thing. So you'll have to have built up some variety of experiences, so you'll be able to understand what that feels like, and then you'll be able to go through the process of potentially having a moment of connection, communication, or this, that, and the other. It takes a lot of opening up. It takes awareness of things outside of yourself. A slightly paranoid state of mind is good, because then you're slightly hyper aware. And people who are more likely to be sensitive are going to be the ones who are more likely to be successful in developing some variety of mediumship. As you play around with it more, you will start to feel that there are different orders of being and different levels of being as well. Essentially, necromancy is specifically about asking the dead. It's not specifically about asking angels or spirits or gods, even though the methodology is remarkably the same. It's just a question of changing your focus of your intention and attention and intention when you're in your expanded meditative prayerful state of mind and you've done your opening up of the chakras, the body scan, the whatever, all the usual stuff. Alright? The ascension meditation. Throw that in for plenty of good measure. See which ones affect your energy system in what ways. Now, the ways in which I do my opening up, it will be different to yours, but there's still some lower common denominators involved in this, and it's finding the lower common denominators in everyone's practices, which should be what you should be working towards. And therefore thinking about what goes on inside the mind and the different states of mind and different states of consciousness, which you will practice and you will play with and you will experiment with, is essentially what you should be doing. Speak to you again in the next delightful video when I will entertain you with contents of my mind.